what does an architect do? I'm going to break down these videos into the design process of a project from start to finish. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on what the architect does and different things that we can do during each one of those phases, because it really depends on what phase you're in.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Rossier, a licensed architect and founder of Mentor. Mentor Dino is your go-to resource for professional growth and development. In 2023, I launched this YouTube channel to share experiences, stories, and resources with you. But I need your help to be able to host live panel discussions, interviews, on-site trainings, and mentorship groups. I need to hit 1,000 subscribers to be able to do that on YouTube. So I'd really appreciate your support in hitting the subscribe button below and letting your colleagues know about this resource. Let's build a brighter future together. Welcome to Mentor Dino. Now let's dive into the discussion.
In this first part of a multi-part series, I'm going to go over what does an architect do. I was trying to figure out how to best explain what we do because it can be so varying depending on what we're working on that I decided to break this up into multiple videos so you can break down and see what we do in different areas. I'm going to break down these videos into the design process of a project from start to finish. And that design process starts out with getting the project itself. So firms do need to generally go after work. Sometimes owners will come to the firm asking for them to do a project, but a lot of the times we are putting together RFPs, so requests for proposals, and actually going and presenting to an owner to try to win the work. And the owner may bring in just a handful of firms just to have a few interviews, and sometimes they may even do a second part interview. And so I'll be going over what we do during that stage to then get to potentially winning the work and moving forward. Moving forward, you're either going to step into what's called programming or schematic design. In the programming phase, we will figure out what everything the owner will need going into the project. They may not figure out how many offices they need or how many exam rooms if it's a hospital. They may need help figuring that out and where their growth is. If they already know where that process is, we move directly into schematic design, where we start doing initial form work if it's a new building, or test fit out some layouts if it's all an interior fit out renovation, and go from there. Then we move into design development, which at that point we're getting into some of the details. We'll be doing more cost analysis with contractors and figure out from there further what the design means. After design development, we move into construction documents where we really get into the nitty-gritty drawings that you see that come together to build a building. And this does include a project manual or specifications book. And in there, it's a lot more text to go in the fine-grained details and performance requirements that a contractor needs to be able to perform. Then we'll have a small silo kind of moving from construction documents into construction that can inform bidding, dealing with opening bids, helping an owner pick out a contractor, or going through cost reconciliation with a contractor in case we are over budget for what the client needs. Then moving into CA or construction administration, that's where we move into the construction process, and the architect still stays along throughout construction. I pretty much call it a lot like how we learned about the government three-structure system in the United States, where we have our checks and balances. It's very much the same process whenever we get into construction. We are typically attending OAC meetings, so that's owner, architect, and contractor, getting together to meet either weekly or bi-weekly depending on the contract length. And then the architect is responsible for reviewing submittals, so reviewing all products going into the building to make sure it meets the quality standards and basis of design that we sent out, and responding to RFIs, so requests for information. And that's where if there's any discrepancies or questions or unforeseen conditions that the contractor is running into, they can send questions our way to be able to respond back, modify drawings, and so on. So that's a little bit of the design process. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on what the architect does and different things that we can do during each one of those phases, because it really depends on what phase you're in to what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And an architect may not just be on one project, they may be on multiple. So you may be under construction one project and in design development in another, which can really break up the day and do different things all throughout the day, but it really depends on where you are in that design process. So hopefully that made sense on the design process and kind of baby steps into the role. And I hope you guys like this mini series on what an architect does in their day.